As we get started, I want to turn it over to my colleague, Terry Thies, who is joining us from New Student Family Experiences to talk with you a little bit about parent involvement on our campus.
Great. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. We're so excited to be here tonight with our housing partners. Yes, we wanted to tell you a little bit about our office and how we serve you. So, as Marianne said, my name is Terry Thies. I'm the Associate Director for Family Engagement in an office called New Student and Family Experiences. Part of our team focuses on welcoming your student in the fall. We have lots of activities during Welcome Week, and we get everybody connected and excited to be here on campus. As part of that team, I specifically work with families, and we are here to be your campus liaison to the university, and we're here to answer any questions you have at any point. So you're always willing, or we're always eager for you to send us emails, give us a call, and I will put our email in the chat in a few minutes for you. But we do welcome questions and concerns from you at any time. We're happy to help you navigate the university. Our office is also responsible for providing engagement opportunities for you. So during the academic year, you'll find that we offer a lot of webinars like these, but during the fall and other spring opportunities are more focused on topics that will be of interest to you once your student has begun his or her or their journey at the University of Illinois. So we'll bring in speakers and we'll help connect you to a lot of different information and resources that is important for you to have. We also offer opportunities for you to come on campus and spend time with your student. We have a family tailgate in the fall as part of football season. Our dad's weekend is also in the fall, and mom's weekend is in spring. In fact, this coming a week from this weekend is our 2025 mom's weekend. And so we will have lots and lots of families on campus at that time. And all of these family weekends are truly for the entire family, even though we call one mom's weekend and one's dad's weekend. But we definitely invite you to come and be a part of those really fun weekends that we have. I also want to invite you to join our family portal, our communication portal. You see that on the screen here now, and it's called the Illinois Family Connections. So you can use the QR code and you can sign up at the portal. And we really encourage you to do this because this is how we disseminate a lot of really important information to families. So if you want to know what's going on at the university, you want to make sure you're in the portal and that you can hear and learn about what's going on. Once you sign up and register, we encourage you to select different communities that you can be a part of in the portal. So for instance, you might select first year families. You might select out of state if you live in another state other than Illinois. If your student is Greek, you might select the Greek community. If you are a Spanish speaking family, we encourage you to select what we call an affinity group for that. Or if your student is BIPOC, you can select a community for that. So there are about 20 communities that you can be a part of. If you're interested in health and well-being and learning about that at the university, you can select that community. All your information will be curated based on those communities that you select. So it is really important to go in and select which communities that you want to be a part of. You can choose the frequency of the communication, and then again, like I said, your content is curated based on your interests and your preferences. So please do go ahead and use that QR code tonight and sign up for that. And you can start getting information even before your student is here on campus. And I think you'll find it's really very helpful, and you'll find lots of resources that will help you as you walk alongside your student as they transition to the University of Illinois. So again, welcome. I know you'll get a lot of great information tonight from our housing partners, and we're just really glad you're here with us tonight. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Terry. So again, for those who've joined since we started, my name is Marianne Brocker Curry. I'm the Director for Housing Information and Marketing here in University Housing. And we're so glad you've chosen to join us tonight for our presentation on housing options at Illinois, your home for the Illinois experience. We are unique in that we have some different options on our campus. Not every campus that you will visit might have private certified housing. So we're going to spend some time tonight talking about the differences in your housing options. As a first year student, you are required to live in either university owned owned or private certified housing for your first year on campus. And we really believe that we have a large variety of options for you to make that really easy. Lots to choose from. Sometimes a lot of options, and it makes it complicated and complex to make a decision. So tonight we're going to talk through the differences. We're going to talk through the process and the dates a little bit, and then I'll have an opportunity at the end for you to ask questions. So again, the Q&A along the Zoom toolbar is where you're going to add those questions to the mix, and we will share links for everyone in the chat. All right, so first off, university-owned residence halls. We have 24 undergraduate residence halls, 2 graduate upper division residence halls that are owned and operated by University Housing. We have 13 halls and houses that are privately owned and operated, but certified by the university to house new students, all students, but particularly first-year students who are required to live in. And then there are a number of other certified Greek housing facilities, but we won't spend a lot of time on those tonight. Although they are certified to house first-year students, you must be a member to live there. So if you haven't gone through recruitment yet, you wouldn't be eligible for those just yet. So we're going to focus on the ones that you'll likely go into straight away as you join us on campus in the fall of 2025. So without further ado, let's kind of talk about the overall strategy when you're talking about all of these options and how to proceed. When you're looking to choose your new home, we really want you to consider both options. I always ask new students, what are your deal breakers when it comes to housing? What do you need to be successful while you're here at Illinois? As a student at Illinois many years ago, my deal breakers were air conditioning. Not all of our halls are air conditioned. I had another deal breaker surrounding bathroom type, right? So those were what helped me guide and prioritize as I was doing my research and ultimately determine where I wanted to live here on our campus. Once you've done your research and you started to prioritize the list of the locations that you're interested in, then you would go down a path to contract for housing. It is a legally binding contract, either in university housing or with an individual private certified facility. So we want to make sure that folks understand what that means to provide their signature in a contractual way. And then depending on which place you've chosen, you'll be selecting where you live. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like as we move forward tonight. So first, with university housing, let's walk down that path first and kind of talk about some of the resources that are available to help you do your research. The university housing website, housing.illinois.edu, is an excellent place to start when you're doing your research. And this short link, go.illinois.edu/incoming students, is going to take you one step further and give you a landing page that gives you chunk by chunk the details of living in university housing, the things you need to consider. So it's going to give you a tool to compare your options in webinars and videos and dates and deadlines. So if you're not sure where to start, this landing page is a great place to start because it walks you through step by step as a new student what things you should be thinking about. And then it allows you the opportunity to drill down further into our website and learn even more. So as you're digging deeper, you'll find that each residence hall, and each living and learning community has its own page. So there you're going to find specific floor plans, pictures, videos, the different student organizations that exist in each location. So you can really kind of get a feel for what is the personality of each of these different halls. What do they offer in terms of bathroom type? How are they located next to a dining hall or next to a campus recreation facility? So each of the halls have a variety of benefits. All of them are great, but each have a little bit of a nuance. And so looking at the individual hall pages really helps you kind of start to understand the difference between the different communities that we offer. In addition to the hall pages, we have this really nifty tool called the Compare Options and Cost Calculator tool. So what it does is it allows you to go back to those deal breakers that I mentioned and use them as filters on the left-hand side of the screen. So you could say, I want undergraduate halls, then I want this particular living and learning community. And it's going to show you on the right-hand side of the screen where that is. And for example, Allen Unit 1 is one of our living and learning communities, tells you a little bit about it, allows you to look at the amenities, or click on the hyperlink and drill down into the Allen Hall page. You can set a variety of different filters on the left: features, living options, room types, bathroom types. What I would encourage you to do, though, is add them slowly, add one at a time. If you click all the things that are important to you, and there happens to be 20 or 25 of them, you might not see a whole lot on the right-hand side of the screen. So think about those deal breakers and prioritize them. What is most important to you? Okay, let's look. Which halls have that? Then add another feature. Okay, now which ones went away? Which ones are still there? And then you can really start to drill down and narrow down your priorities. One thing I will say is when you're in our contract, and we'll talk about the process in a little bit, you're not picking a particular hall in part one. You're really just giving us information about what you're interested in. For example, if you're interested in a living and learning community, or you're interested in a special living option, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But you're not giving us specific neighborhoods or locations. So you don't have to worry about that just yet. Ultimately, we're going to want you to create a long prioritized list of our 24 halls and the order in which you'd like to live in them. So when you do get in the system to pick your space, you have a plan, and that plan goes beyond 5 or 6 halls. Because if you log in and those 5 or 6 halls have already been reserved, you need to know what your plan B, C, D is as you move throughout the system. So this compare options tool really helps you create that long list of the different locations that you're interested in the order in which you might like them. So I mentioned our living and learning communities and our special living options. These are 2 different options within university residence halls. So these are specific to university-owned residence halls. There may be a floor within a larger residence hall, or a few floors, a group of floors, or there may be the whole hall. So first, let's start with living and learning communities. Our LLCs, as you will hear me call them, because we're a big acronym campus, our LLCs are smaller communities nestled within a larger hall where there's an academic focus. There is a specific academic connection to a department on our campus or college on our campus. You can take courses for credit in those halls. As a member of these communities, as a resident on the floors of these communities, you'll have access to additional programs and services. It might be something like a Shark Tank innovative startup experience, or International Film Festival, or dinner with professors that are in your hall. So there's a lot of additional access that you would be gaining if you were to choose to live in one of these living and learning communities. It's important to know that you do not have to be a particular major to live in any one of these 10 living and learning communities. So for example, WIMSE stands for Women in Math, Science, and Engineering. You don't have to be a science major, math major, or engineer to live there, but you might have an interest and choose to live there. We're not checking anyone's college affiliation or major when we're doing approvals for these communities. What we are checking, though, are essays. And so as a part of the online contract, if you were to express interest in one of these communities, you would be prompted to write an essay about why you want to be a part of it. So what would you contribute to the community? What will you perceive that you might gain from the community? We have real life human program directors in each of these living and learning communities. They're pro staff that are reading these essays and granting approvals, so that in part 2 of the contract process, if you've met the deadline and you have the approval, you would see these communities to choose from, in addition to the other halls that might be available. So we'll talk more again about that in the process, but just know that there might be an extra step associated with your contract if you're interested in these living and learning communities. Don't fret over the essay. It's not a long one, but do spend some time, just a little bit of time, making sure that you're really accurately explaining why you want to be a part of the community. In addition, our living and learning communities do have a small annual fee that is associated with your room rate, because your room rate in an LLC is different than your room rate where there's no LLC. Those at the highest are $326 across the whole academic year, so less than $200 a semester, and it really does help offset the cost of the additional programming and services and spaces that you would have access to in a living and learning community. So for example, our Innovation LLC has a garage, makerspace, and the lower level of ISR that the students of the Innovation LLC have access to. So that extra space is associated with only for those members of that community, but that's part of what the fee helps cover, the expenses to run that space. So separate from living and learning communities, we also have special living options. So these do not have an affiliation with a particular academic college or major. They don't have an essay. They also don't have a fee. They're really more of a special interest community where students of similar interest will choose to live together. So there's more information about these on our website as well. So under the communities tab on our homepage, you can see more detailed information about our living and learning communities. There's a landing page that kind of gives you a brief synopsis of each of the LLCs. And then there's also links to our special living options, which explains, what is the scholars community compared to the honors community? What does non-visitation mean? Where are the transfer communities located, as an example? So more information on our website there to give you some more detail about these options. One thing I will say is that sometimes I feel like these options, the LLCs in particular, might make our large campus feel a little bit more approachable, a little smaller. Our living and learning communities do get to move in a few days early, and they participate in an LLC orientation to help them get acclimated and prepared for all of the additional services and benefits that are available to them in their community. So by moving in early, you also get acclimated to campus. You kind of get a core group of community members that you get to know in a slower way, in a more intimate way. And so it gives you an opportunity to ease into the campus, which I think is a really great opportunity as well. So as part of your university housing contract, dining is included. All of our undergraduate residence halls are required to have a meal plan as part of their contract, and there are 4 that you can choose from. So there are 4 options that include 2 different types of currency. So the first 2, you'll hear me say 12.15, which is 12 classic meals and 15 dining dollars, or 10 classic meals and 45 dining dollars, are the 2 that have a mix of the 2 currencies, classic meals and dining dollars. And then the other 2 are either all classic meals or all dining dollars. And you can choose from those 4. What I will tell you is the 2 most popular are, that's a question we get all the time, are the 2 that are the mix of the currency. And so that's where we see most students landing. Generally, when I'm giving advice about which meal plan to pick, I always say, what are your eating habits? If you're more of a traditional eater, well-rounded plate, maybe go back for seconds, eating at traditional meal periods or meal times, then having more classic meals might be more helpful, because those classic meals are our all-you-care-to-eat locations where you swipe, go into the dining hall, and eat as much as you'd like during that meal period. There could be 6 meal periods in a day: early breakfast, regular breakfast, late breakfast, early lunch. So you can swipe in each meal period with your classic meals. If you don't use all of your classic meals, you do lose them. They don't roll over. So if you started out with 12 and you only use 10, you would lose 2, but early Sunday morning, you'd get 12 more. So those replenish every meal period week at the beginning of Sunday. Our dining dollars will roll over for 1 week, so you can carry over from the week before what you didn't use. But if you don't use them over and over again, they max out at double. So if you started out with 15 dining dollars and didn't use any, you would have 30 at the end of week 2. But if you don't use any again, you're going to still have 30. We encourage students to never let those dining dollars go to waste, because you can buy food items in our retail locations, where you can also buy made-to-order items like a combo basket, burger, fries, and a drink to go, salads, wraps, pre-made meals from our all-you-care-to-eat locations that you can take back to your room and microwave, or breakfast items like breakfast sandwiches or cereal and milk that you can keep in your room to eat throughout the week. So don't let those dining dollars go. Cases of water, cases of soda, chips, snacks, all can be purchased in our retail locations with dining dollars. One of the great things about our dining halls is that you can navigate them pretty easily using our Illinois app. The Illinois app is great for a variety of things on our campus, and so we really encourage you, if you haven't already, to download it. So it's everything from helping find your way to class, athletic events, groups or events that are happening on campus. But in the residence halls, there are very specific features for university housing that you will find, like our menus in the dining halls, nutritional content. You can set filters for allergies or intolerances, so you only see the menu items that are safe for you to eat. You can see where your favorite menu item is being served next and plan to visit another dining hall, because in our dining halls and university housing, you can eat in any of the dining halls across campus as long as you're a resident of university housing or have a meal plan with university housing. You can check your dining balances to see how many classic meals or dining dollars you have left. And you can get laundry updates. So you can see when your load of laundry is about to be finished and go down and get it so somebody else can use the machine behind you. Or you can look and see which machines are available so you don't make a trip down to the laundry room unless there are actually machines for you to use. So it's a really helpful tool. We also have some communication options for our resident advisors. So there's a hall page or a hall discussion area where you can post, interact with other residents, ask questions of your RA individually, see events that are happening in your hall. So we're hopeful that your RAs are going to reach out to you via the app and the group that you're in the app to start communicating with you even before you arrive on campus. So make sure you get that downloaded as quickly as possible. So once you kind of have a feel for all of the things that University Housing offers, we want you to kind of think about your process and refine your search a little bit. Make sure you have the things that are important to you prioritized. Make sure that you're making a long list. And the other piece of advice that I would give here is don't make a list based on only one criteria or only one deal breaker. Oftentimes in real estate, we hear the phrase location, location, location. For your first year here on campus, I wouldn't use that criteria. Location is one thing to consider, but not the only thing. We have a great bus system on our campus. You can get anywhere. They run during academic day on a loop, 5 to 6 minutes. There are more buses coming, so you can get anywhere. I walked a lot when I was here. By the time I would unlock my bike or put on skates or do whatever the thing was at the time, I could have walked there. So generally, it's like, an easy 10-minute walk wherever you're going. And professors are really understanding if you schedule yourself really back to back and you have to hustle in between classes. But you're in control of your schedule, so you can also avoid that if you'd like to. So we really encourage you to pick based on a variety of things. Maybe you're really interested in a living and learning community or a special registered student organization that exists in a location. Maybe you really be really close to campus recreation facilities. Maybe you are really a bathroom arrangement, a particular bathroom style is important to you, or you really want dining in the hall where you live. You don't want to have to go outside. Those are some ideas of ways in which you might prioritize. But look at the whole picture, because you might find an LLC like Whimsy that isn't right next to engineering, but would be a really great experience for you. And it just happens to be one of the early bus stops on the route that runs from FAR, so you might never notice the distance. So in terms of timeline for university housing, here are a couple of things that I've alluded to that I want to be a little bit more specific about as we move through the presentation. Our university housing contract is a two-part process. The first part are kind of the nuts and bolts of the contract itself, right? So you're giving us all the demographic information. You're telling us if you have a roommate you want to live with, or you're shopping for a roommate. You may be telling us that you have an accommodation need and you're working with our disability resources and educational services office on campus, or maybe you have another sort of assignment consideration that you need us to consider. You're giving us all of that information, completing your LLC essay, and we would like you to do that all by May 8th, which is our priority deadline. So, and I'll tell you what that means here in a minute. I think it's important to say first that we guarantee housing for all first-year students who are required to live on campus. So between university housing, private certified housing, we're going to have a space for you. So you don't have to worry about that. If you want an opportunity in university housing to have a little bit of control where you might land in your assignment, then completing by May 8th is important, because this priority deadline is what allows you to have an entry time later in part 2 to pick your space from what's available at the time that you log in. So part 1 is getting it all completed and wrapped up. It is important if you have a roommate or you're wanting to have a roommate that you both complete by May 8th. Because if one person completes by May 8th and the other one doesn't, it's nearly impossible for us to get you together. So meeting that priority deadline if you have a roommate request is important. Meeting that priority deadline if you want to be considered for an LLC or a special living option is important, because we take those interests into account when we're seeing who's eligible to see those spaces in part 2. So you would complete by May 8th, and then in part 2 is when you would actually pick your space and pick your meal plan. A lot of folks kind of panic when they don't see meal plan in part 1. It is connected, to where you live, especially if you're an older student and you have more meal plan options. You see those based on where you're choosing to live. So that's why it's connected to part 2. But we will notify you the second full week in May, that mid-May area, of when you're going to log back in and pick your space if you met the priority deadline. So it's important to know that you're going to see what's available. If you get an early entry time, you might see more available spaces. If you see a late entry time, you're going to see fewer spaces. If for some reason you elect not to choose a space during part 2, we will provide an assignment for you. If you miss the deadline and you don't submit a contract by May 8th, we will provide an assignment for you. So you don't have to worry about that part. Just know if you forego your time slot, we will provide one for you. So let's say you met the deadline, middle of May, you get an email from us saying, hey, you've been approved for that LLC that you really liked. If you'd like to pick that LLC, here's the time that you can log in. And that's a start time, it's an entry time. And then there are a couple of days that are only for LLCs. So you're only going to be able to see the LLCs you're approved for, and you can choose during that time. Then in that same email, you might have a second entry time that is a randomized time slot. We put everybody who met the deadline in a bucket, mix you up. The computer assigns you a randomized entry time. If you have a mutual roommate request, you guys are going to get the same entry time. And then you're going to log in during that time and pick your space. You still have to take action. So if I wanted to live with my friend Shanda, I would put myself in side A and she might put herself in side B. Or if she's at volleyball practice, I might put myself in A and put her in B. But I have to note that if I then find another room that we said we liked better and I move myself, I can't move Shanda. I can only place her once. So be very careful about that if you're having someone else do the assignment for you. So log in, pick your space. You have to find a room that has 2 spaces open and both people have to be in a bed space. Push save and continue, and then that locks you into your assignment in that particular location. Towards the end, it might be harder to find available spaces with 2 open spaces in the same room. If you're trying to get with a roommate and there are no open doubles anywhere, try to get yourself in the same building, at least so that you're close together. After you've chosen your room, you choose your meal plan. And then room selection closes, and we do assignments in the office for anyone who missed the deadline, didn't use their entry time, applied late for whatever reason. We finalize those assignments and send out an assignment confirmation email at the end of June. Then you have an opportunity to pick your move-in time slot, start communicating with your roommate about who's bringing what, and prepare to join us on campus in August. So that's the path that leads you to university housing. And now we're going to go down the path that leads you to private certified housing. So as I mentioned, private certified housing are privately owned and operated facilities by different companies. So each of the 13 have a different owner and operator. And they are all, they vary in what they offer. Some of the common bigger picture differences between university housing and private certified, floor plans being one. So private certified housing tend to have more suite style floor plans, maybe some more single rooms for first year students. They may have more semi-private bathroom offerings. So 2 double rooms that have a bathroom in the middle, or a suite of 2 double rooms that share a living room and a bathroom. Some have in-room kitchens. So the offering in terms of square footage and space in the living area and the bedroom area might be a little different in private certified housing than in university housing. So that's meal plans are also different. We're going to talk a little bit about meal plans, but typically you would eat where you live in private certified housing because that's where your contract is for your room and your meal plan. So that's a difference. Living and learning communities are also different. So our private certified housing partners might have special niche housing opportunities, living interest communities, but they don't have living and learning communities. So those academic connections are specific to university housing. You might find an upper class floor, or you might find a religious affiliation in private certified housing that you're not going to find in university housing. And then lastly, the process. Because each are privately owned and operated, the application fee, the timeline, it's all different depending on the location that you're interested in. You know, when you sign a contract for that location, that is where you're living. There's no signing a contract and then picking from all the different locations. You kind of have to do your research first and then sign your contract once you know where you want to be. So those are the kind of the big picture differences between university housing and private certified housing. Oftentimes we get the misconception that it's always more expensive. It may not be. The more amenities that you have, it might start to be more expensive. But we have 5 or 6 properties that are really very similar to university housing in price range. And then we have some that are lower than university housing, some that are significantly more based on the room type and the meal plan that you choose. So a great way to start, much like with University Housing, is to visit the Certified Housing website. They have a landing page called Explore Your Options that is very similar to the University Housing Incoming Student Lander, where it's going to walk you chunk by chunk through the things that you need to review and consider as you're thinking about private certified housing as an option. They also have a feature comparison tool that's very much like the Compare Options tool, where you can list the kind of housing, whether it's a cooperative or a residence hall, whether it's religiously affiliated, whether you're looking for a single room or not. You can pick those features on the left, and it will show you the halls that have the items you're looking for on your right. And then just like our website, you can drill down into a hall specific page. From that hall specific page, you can drill down into the actual company's page as well to get more details on their actual floor plans and the various rates that they have. So our website will show you a range of rates for the different PCH facilities, but you could go to Bromley's page, for example, to see all of Bromley's rates and all of their room types. So I mentioned dining is a little bit different. In private certified housing, you have a contract for your meal plan with the place where you're living. Now, they are very centrally located. So when I lived in private certified housing as a student, I was able to get back for lunch, dinner, breakfast, no problem. Some have late plates or sack lunch options, or they have extended dining hours so that you'll be able to get back after class and have a meal. So it's important as you're thinking about researching private certified housing for you to talk with the private certified facility that you're interested in, learn about their meal plans. Their currency is different, learn about when you can change or if you could change your meal plan. Once you've signed a contract, learn what they do for late plate sack lunches, rolling over balances, etc. And I should mention, I mentioned allergies and intolerances. Let me back up. Allergies and intolerances in university housing. We have the app, we have a registered dietitian on staff. Private certified housing will also have a dining manager or dining contact that you can speak with about menu and about allergies or intolerances and how they address those particular needs in that particular hall. But some of them work with a vendor dining facility, a dining company. Some of them do self-operated dining, just like we do. So it's important to ask about those variations as you're touring or considering private certified housing. So much like in university housing, once you've kind of done this research and you kind of have the lay of the land, we want you to go back and prioritize and want you to think about your features. As I mentioned earlier, don't decide based on one thing, one component. Look at the big picture. Look at a combination of location and dining and room type. Think about your deal breakers and what's most important to you, and then prioritize your options similarly. Please don't sign two private certified housing contracts. They are private contracts. They are legally binding contracts. So we want you to do your research and make your decision about location and private certified before you sign the contract, not after. And then I mentioned, if you're really worried about what kind of assignment you're going to get, you want to have a little bit more reassurance that you know exactly where you're going to be. Then the minute you sign a contract with a PCH location, you know that's the location that you're living in. They have a timeline that is very similar to university housing, though it does vary by facility. They have been leasing with returning residents and interested prospective residents since the fall and have continued to do so. Some of our facilities are nearing full, so it's important for you to also start asking PCH facilities at this point in the year about availability, because some of our PCH units are starting to have a wait list or getting very close to one if they don't already have one. So we want you to check with them about availability. If they have availability and you know that's where you want to be, sign the contract. Each contract is going to be different in terms of how they do room selection, how they do roommate matching, how they take your preferences. So talk with them a little bit about what that looks like. But remember, these are first come, first serve. There's not a priority deadline like university housing. They just fill in the order in which they receive contracts. Once they have all of the contracts received early, midsummer, late June, early July, they start sending out assignment notifications just like we do, information about move-in that's specific to their hall, just like us. So you'll get that information as the summer progresses. And certainly, I don't know that I mentioned this for university housing, but you're also able to take tours of these facilities when you visit in the summer for new student registration. So that's a high-level overview of the process that would take you to private certified housing. I think I should mention that sometimes folks will choose to go down both of these paths simultaneously. And we do have a program called the reciprocal program that allows you to do that and then cancel the one that you don't like. Just be sure that it's University Housing and Private certified, not two PCH facilities. There's rules and dates and deadlines associated with that program, but the goal is to make sure that you find the housing that works best for your time here at Illinois. So we want to have a little bit of a safety net for you to make those choices. If you have questions about that, maybe you're worried that you're not going to get your preference in university housing and you want PCH as a backup, or maybe you are on the wait list at PCH and you want university housing as a backup. Please call the Housing Information Office and talk to us about what that process looks like so that we can guide you and make sure that you have the information you need to make an informed decision about signing contracts, making sure that you're not getting into binding contracts that you can't get out of. And the Housing Information Office will continue to be your resource for questions about both university housing and private certified. If we get into a lot of detail about a PCH contract or meal plan hours or name it, billing, for example, then we're probably going to transfer you to the PCH facility directly so that we don't provide inaccurate information. But we can give you the general information for sure. And the housing office is, I think, also great about, okay, I've got it narrowed down to these 2 or 4. Tell me what I don't know about these, and we can kind of help you walk through that prioritized list to make sure you're thinking about everything. Okay, so I went fast. I'm sorry. I know I talk fast. I try to slow down, but there's just so much information, and I'm so excited for you to join us on campus that it makes it hard for me to go slow. So at this point, I would like to open the floor for questions. I see a few people have typed in the chat, but if you have them, please feel free to put them in there. I'm going to go back and look at some of the ones that we've already answered just to see if it would be helpful for me to say it out loud on the recording and for others that maybe didn't see the question to have the answer as well. So the question was kind of a brief overview of the differences in the LLCs and the things that they're affiliated with. Rylan answered that question in the chat, but I'm going to put the link he provided in the main chat instead of the Q&A chat, because I think that this landing page does give you a great overview of the different LLCs, and then you can drill down and look at the specifics as you go. Can we use the cost calculator even if we haven't committed yet? Absolutely. That is a place for you to look at the room type that you think you might be interested in, the meal plan that you might be interested in, the halls that you might be interested in, and start to get a sense of what the cost might be depending on what you choose or what you end up assigning yourself to or what we assign you to. The other question is, how long are the slots for choosing a room in a hall? So it's really more of an entry time. It's not like you have 30 minutes to do this. So that's important to know. You'll have an entry time, like let's say you can first access the system Wednesday at 1 p.m. So that's the first time you're going to be able to get in and look and see what's available. You can pick something, you can leave, you can come back later that evening, maybe after you get home from practice, and see if maybe that location that you really wanted is available. There's a way that you can go from choosing your room to changing your room in the online portal. You just go back to that same place where you chose, and the link now says change instead of choose. So you can revisit, but it's important to know that every 30 minutes during like this 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. time period, more students are entering the system. So the longer you go past your entry time, the fewer spaces will be available. And our room selection time period, our week of room selection, does have a start and an end. So once the last time slot has happened, we give a day or two for folks to kind of come and go and check and make sure that they've got what they want. And then we close the system so that we can start doing assignments. So it's important that you find time between your entry time and when the system closes to pick a space if that's what you want to do. Similarly, for living and learning communities, you will only be able to see the LLC you've been approved for at the start of your entry time. As the LLC time period, the first couple of days, starts to close and we go into regular selection period, the LLCs that haven't filled with those people who are approved might allow more people to see those spaces. So if you wait on your LLC time slot and you go back later, what might have been available for you to see originally will be gone if you don't choose during the LLC time where it's protected just for those folks who've been approved. So that's important to kind of think of in terms of, if you've got class or you've got practice, don't fret. You can do it as soon as you get home. I don't need you to take off school to do this. But I also would say don't wait until the very last day that room selection has happened, because there will be fewer spaces than there were on the first day when your entry time arrived. Yes, we will share this presentation and post the recording. And I shared that link at the beginning, but it is on the housing website in our webinars section of that incoming student landing page that we've mentioned a couple times. Okay, so there's a question here that is related to an LLC or ISR and its proximity to the engineering campus. So I think it's important to note that we are not making assignments. Our computer system does not make assignments based on major. And we actually discourage you from picking solely based on proximity to your major for your first year. That thing I said about location being not the most important thing your first year applies here as well. Because your first year, you're going to have general education courses, you're going to be joining registered student organizations, you're going to be all over campus. So being right next to the area that you're going to study is not as important as it might be your junior or senior year on campus. So we would encourage you not to think about it by major and proximity. Illinois Straight is close to engineering and hard sciences. It's also very popular with our returning residents. So depending on what day your entry time is, you may not be able to see space in ISR as a first year student. You might also choose a living and learning community there and be approved to only see the LLC space, but then there not be any general space later available for you to see. So there are living and learning communities that are embedded within ISR, and that's a different process depending on that LLC approval compared to the general space in ISR. And that really goes for any building that has a portion of the community that is an LLC. So we also have a question, and I will say, let me just say this. We did an LLC webinar earlier, was that Tuesday of this week? Just a couple days ago. So that LLC webinar is going to be posted on our website, I'm hoping by next week. So you'll be able to get all of this detail about living and learning communities and which ones are higher demand or more competitive. That is all covered in that LLC webinar. So we'd encourage you to visit that website, watch that one. We had a lot of really great questions on Tuesday night, so we were able to get into a lot of detail there that are really specific to those communities. So we have a question about if I already signed a university housing contract and did not have a specific roommate, but later on, before May 8th, I find one, can I change my preference? Excellent question, and the answer is yes. So anytime before May 8th, you can go back and revisit your portal. You can update your authorized contacts. If there are people, parents, family members you want us to be able to talk to about your contract, you can go back and add information about an ADA accommodation that you might have. You can change dietary accommodation needs. You can search for a roommate, add a roommate, remove a roommate, accept a roommate request. So you absolutely can go in and out. We have some folks that will write their LLC essay in Word, copy and paste it in. Go back a couple days later, read it, make some adjustments. That's fine. The LLC staff, as I mentioned, are human. They're reading them as they come in, but they do go back and read and look again after the deadline to make sure that everybody receives fair consideration for those communities. So absolutely, you can go back and forth, but after May 8th, adding roommates is not going to be possible. And changing things related to your contract preferences, interest in an LLC or a special living option will also not be available after May 8th. So I see there's a question about which LLCs and special living options tend to be higher demand. It really varies. I think Nathan said on Tuesday, Nathan is our assistant director that is responsible for the living and learning communities. I think he shared innovation is popular. Oh gosh, I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to give the wrong information, but it is available in our LLC webinar. Business LLC is also popular. The Honors LLC is also popular and competitive because there are way more honors students on our campus than there are spaces in our honors community. And that is one thing that I will mention that I should have. While you don't have to be a particular major to live in a living and learning community in university housing, there is one prerequisite in the Honors LLC that doesn't exist in the others. That is that you must be a James Scholar or a part of the Campus Honors program to be eligible to choose a space in the Honors LLC. To write an essay, they're going to look and make sure that you have that designation, and then they'll do the approval based on those two elements. Similarly, honors does not automatically pull your roommate in. So in another LLC, you've written your essay, you have a really strong essay, you've been approved, and you have a roommate. Maybe your roommate's essay wasn't as strong, but you're connected, so you're going to get pulled in together. And the honors LLC, that does not happen. The roommate has to also have the designation and has to also have an approved essay to be considered. How long do the residence hall tours last? Okay, so I should mention and share with you that we have tours Monday through Friday, excluding holidays, in university housing in 2 permanent tour locations right now this spring. Nugent Hall from 1 to 4 and Illinois Street Residence Hall ISR from 1 to 4. Our private certified housing tours are also available. They vary by facility. So if you're interested in one of those, they have tours going on right now as well. And some of them have weekend hours as well, where you can get a tour on the weekend. If you're planning to come to campus for Admitted Student Illini Fest, we will have tours on that Saturday of both university housing and private certified housing. So come see us, visit us then as well. And then this summer, when you're back for new student registration, we'll have more locations available. Right now, the 2 locations we have in university housing are unoccupied rooms. We have lots of occupied rooms this year, so we don't have as many tour rooms. But in the summer, after everyone's left, we'll have more tour rooms, and you'll be more likely to see a hall that is representative of where you've chosen to live for fall of 25. Tours will vary in length depending on the size of the tour group, the traffic that day. So Illini Fest tours are probably going to be a little shorter than if you would come on a regular weekday when there isn't as much volume because we're trying to get as many people through as we can. Typically, a tour would last 15-20 minutes. Longer tours could last up to 30. Because if we have time, we'd love to show you the dining hall and the basement, the laundry rooms. We do show a student room regardless, and you can see the bathrooms on the floor in that location regardless. But oftentimes we might just talk about the other spaces instead of visiting them. So the shorter tours are going to cover the information, but do so without walking all the way around the space. And the longer tours will actually go from space to space. I encourage you when you're visiting and taking a tour to let your tour guide know if there's something you're really interested in seeing, and they can make sure that they show you that while you're taking a tour. Another thing I would offer, since we're talking about my dad and all of his wisdom, when I came to school here at Illinois, I had pretty much made up my mind where I thought I was going to live. And it was solely based on where friends from my high school were living. I hadn't done any research. The internet was barely a thing. And so we came to visit campus. And my father really insisted that we take tours of multiple locations. And I honestly didn't know what I didn't know. I hadn't seen that, or even was even aware that there were facilities that were actually a better fit for me and what I was looking for and what I wanted than I even realized existed. So even if you think I would encourage you to take a tour of something that is the opposite or different than what you think you want, just to make sure that that's what you want and to make sure you understand all that's available here. We really do have a pretty good variety compared to some other campuses. And so I think it's a great idea to tour at least one PCH and one university housing so you can see the difference. But if you have time to do more, I would encourage you to do that. If you don't have the luxury of coming to campus, we understand that sometimes that's the barrier. And so we do have some online resources, some virtual tours or some 360 room videos, both in university housing and private certified housing. So when you drill down to those hall pages, that's where you're going to kind of find that online resource for touring if you're not able to come to campus. So we have a question about private certified housing. If I'm not able to get a PCH room, what will happen to the deposit? So that will vary based on the PCH facility. So some private certified housing units will have a deposit that is really like an advance payment that goes towards your credit, your first payment. Others have a non-refundable application fee. And still yet others will have something where it depends on when you cancel. So if you cancel before June 1, you get everything back. If you cancel after June 1, you get 75% back. And then if you cancel after July 1, the percent goes down. So that's definitely an area where you want to read the contract before you sign it. You want to talk to the PCH leasing office or contracting office about the rules related to their deposit. Is it a true security deposit? What are the rules on getting that back, damages, etc.? Or is it more of a fee, an application fee? Or an assignment deposit that really isn't related to the status of the room, but more just about holding your place for an assignment. So it's important to ask about those details because that does definitely vary between university housing and PCH, but then also within private certified housing, it's different by facility. It is possible to hold university housing and private certified housing together. We want to make sure that you're only holding one private certified, not multiple. And then that's that reciprocal program that I mentioned earlier in the presentation. So if you are trying to get into a particular PCH facility and you're on a wait list, or you're in a PCH facility, but you want to see if maybe you can get into a university housing location, but only one very specific one, then you could do both processes and cancel the one that you don't want. It gets more complicated and there's more paperwork after July 1. So we want you to make those decisions as soon as possible because, again, we're sending out assignment notifications at the end of June. So we don't want you holding two spaces if one of those spaces could be an assignment for someone else. So letting us know as soon as possible is really our preference. After July 1, there's some additional paperwork. And in order to do it without penalty, it needs to be done by the first day of the contract, which I think this year is August 20th, that Wednesday. Let me double check my days. I think Wednesday, the official move-in day is August 20th this year. Just starting to say it all the time, so I haven't quite committed it to memory, but yes, August 20th. For university housing move-in. The official move-in day in a PCH facility might be a few days before. Well, we are at 6:28, so we have almost, our time is almost expired together. Again, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight, spending a little bit of time after work or school, learning more about your housing options at Illinois. We're so excited to have you join us in the fall. Really appreciate the opportunity to share some information with you, and hopefully that allows you to feel more prepared coming to join us in the fall. Terry, anything else you want to add?
Yes, thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight. We really are excited to welcome you all to our campus and look forward to seeing you in the near future. So thanks for being here.
Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you.